Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm an English teacher, and this is another English lesson with about advanced English vocabulary based on the world news. What's the most important world news story at the moment? Well, clearly, unfortunately, it's the coronavirus. In this lesson, I'm going to read you this story, and I'm going to explain the vocabulary as we go along. So, the dominant story around the world remains the coronavirus. The unfolding drama is spooking people all over the world, from world leaders to investors to members of the public. Virologists have long said that we were overdue another outbreak of a deadly killer disease such as Spanish flu. Instead of flu, what we have is coronavirus, which scientists have now dubbed COVID-19. The disease is now spreading around the world, and the worsening situation has much of the world's media agog. So, the expressions in red I will briefly explain. The unfolding drama. So, if we think of a piece of paper folded several times, and then if you think of it unfolding, then as it unfolds, you can see more and more happening. And this is the idea of the word unfolding in this context when we use it as a collocation with the noun drama. Spooking. Well, literally, this is what we would say a ghost does to somebody. If you spook somebody, you really scare them. We also often talk about horses being spooked. So you might hear about a horse going "Nyeh," and throwing off its rider, and we say the horse is spooked. But in general, if somebody is spooked, then they are scared. The expression long said is a common expression in English. It just means that people have been saying this thing for a long time. Dubbed. Scientists dubbed the virus COVID-19. If you dub something, then that is the name that you give to that thing. The worsening situation, another common collocation in English, it just means things are becoming worse and worse. And it has much of the world's media agog. If something has somebody agog, then they are kind of staring almost in disbelief at what is happening. As you will know, unless you've spent the past 2 months on Mars, this virus originated in Hubei province in China. The virus is believed to have jumped from some type of animal into humans. The Chinese have long been in the habit of having live animals for sale at their markets. Unsurprisingly, in view of events, the Chinese government has now launched a crackdown on this practice. This might help stop a future outbreak, but the current outbreak continues to spiral out of control. So, here, where you launch a crackdown, if a government launches a crackdown on something, then it decides that that thing will no longer be allowed to happen. If something spirals out of control, then people, including governments, no longer feel they have any real control over the situation. The expression, unless you've spent time on Mars, is just a way of saying that unless you haven't been paying attention, then you must already know this. Other than China, the main countries currently under the cosh are South Korea, Iran, and Italy. As was the case in China, the authorities in Iran have faced withering internal criticism due to an apparent failure to get to grips with the problem as quickly as they should have done. Authorities were reluctant to close several sites that were affected by the virus, as they are considered wholly Shia sites. After being slow off the mark initially, the Chinese government responded with unprecedented measures, which effectively involved cutting off Hubei province from the rest of China. The Chinese sealed off Hubei from the rest of China, hoping to prevent the contagion from spreading. So this expression, under the cosh. A cosh is like a piece of wood or metal, which was traditionally carried by Could be by policemen, even by a burglar. But the expression under the cosh means under real pressure. It means being involved in a very, very difficult situation. Withering criticism, withering internal criticism. Internal just means it came from within the country itself. So Chinese people were criticizing China, Iranian people criticizing Iran. If criticism is withering, then it's very, very strong criticism. The expression to get to grips with the problem. If you get to grips with the problem, then you start to deal with it in an effective way. The expression slow off the mark, a common expression in English, it means what it sounds like it means. If you're slow off the mark, then you react slowly. This expression, I think, comes from athletics. You know, in athletics, when there is a sprint like the 100 meters and everybody starts with their hands down on the track, those are their marks. And if you are slow off your mark in a sprint, then you are the last person to react when the gun goes to start the race. Unprecedented measures. This means measures. So measures here are kind of policies, official government actions, and the word unprecedented means that they really haven't been seen before, or at least not in most of our lifetimes. If you cut off or seal off somewhere from somewhere else, then you make that place somewhere that that doesn't have access to the rest of the country anymore. And a contagion is the disease. So, at the time, this was widely considered a move only a dictatorship could make. But this idea has just been dispelled, as Italy has just announced that it will quarantine 15 million people, sealing off the north of Italy from the rest of the country. The virus seems to have a mortality rate of about 3%, killing 3 out of every 100 people that it infects. And it has taken a terrible toll on older people. The key question remains, how many people will eventually contract this virus? The count so far is 100,000 and rising. So, if something is dispelled, an idea or notion is dispelled, it is proven to be untrue. So the idea that only a dictatorship could take a step like this was quickly proven untrue. If something takes a terrible toll on people, it has a terrible effect on them. If you contract a virus, that just means that you get the virus. Okay, so that's the end of today's lesson. I hope it was useful. Lots of advanced vocabulary for you. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments section below. If you found the lesson useful, please subscribe. And when you subscribe, remember to click on the bell so that you will get updates when I release new videos. Okay, so thank you and see you next time.